world's starting to wake up. I think it's 5:30 or something. And this place needs so much work. We've done so much work, it's absolutely stupid so far. Aesthetically anyways, outside. It's got to frame up a couple rooms downstairs. And then gotta get the horses, gotta get home. I gotta get so many more loads over here. Holy. It's a beautiful place, a beautiful place. You're swimming in a river hole about, I don't know, about a 1-minute quad ride down the dirt road here. I think there was something like 8 or 9 eagles there, and I was swimming with sockeye salmon in the river. It's pretty amazing. The water is warm though. I sure hope those eggs are going to take in that warm water. That's a big concern of the planet today, right? Warm water and fish. It's not a good combo. Pile of deer around here, man. So many deer on the yard. They're basically tame. We had them about 10 feet from us last night. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I got a bunch of shares I got to get out here. Got to catch up with. I can't wait. Well, I can't wait. One day I'll share more of my story there eventually with you guys, and you're going to understand a whole lot more of what's going on here, my motivation, all right? Another big part of my motivation. Anyways, till then, I got to get so many stories. Okay, listen to this one. Sabe saved me and my pregnant daughter. Dear Steve, I'm watching your channel for a few months and now I want to share one of my experiences with you. There are many, however, I will write on this one for now. Hopefully it helps others. My name is Melissa. I go by Mel. I am a disabled law enforcement. I pride myself in being a critical thinker and apply my training from being raised in law enforcement and military to all situations in life. I've always been the person that has been gifted with a spiritual gift of premonition and the ability to see what most can't. I also have a deep desire to be in nature. All animals and creatures have always gravitated to me wherever I go. Nature is my solace. On with the story. About 8 years ago, I met my husband, and one of the things that made me love him is his ability to accept my gifts and be open-minded. I should mention we are both part Native American, and he is a shaman. One thing we discussed early on was what I used to call Bigfoot. We both agree they are interdimensional beings and protectors of the lands. They are sacred. He told me of experiences his family had in Michigan and how he and his father had tape recordings of Bigfoot calling and screaming out in the deep woods of their land. These occurrences happened for over 40 years. He told me that the sounds couldn't be mimicked, and unless you heard it, you couldn't understand or describe it. I've never asked to hear the recordings, I just let it be. Fast forward 4 years. My husband, our 32-year-old son, my 8 months pregnant 21-year-old daughter, and I lived in New Mexico. We lived at base of the Jemez Mountains between 2 reservations and often went up 11,000 feet into the mountains for day trips, camping and to hunt bear and elk. One particular trip, the guys decided to go scout elk and fill their bear tag. Any true hunter knows that these tags are hard to come by and drawings are required. Imagine the excitement they had to have their tags. No doubt. Probably doing jumping jacks for a week after they got that. Nope. My daughter and I stayed behind at a very, very remote campsite, accessible only by 4-wheel drive and hiking in. We had 2-way radios to contact the guys in case of emergency, and of course my daughter and I were both armed. My husband insists that I interject here and tell you that not only did I have the .303, but also made him give me his .357 for my sidearm. He jokes to this day that I sent him into the wilds armed with nothing but his recurve bow. Yeah, that's just what women do to us, man. Kidding. Anyways, my daughter and I walked a ways to use the bathroom in the woods and noticed a very fresh bear claw marks in the pines and decided it was best to go back to camp and light a fire and stay close. We weren't afraid of anything. I was raised in Texas around various wildlife, including mountain lions, aka cougars, alligators, and coyotes, but I had not had many experiences with bears or wolves or the other predatory animals up there, so I took caution. The guy's been gone for about 4 hours, and my pregnant daughter and I just cleaned camp and gathered wood, readying for the guy's return around dark. We started to hear noises, mostly regular mountain animals, nothing too serious. Then a feeling of dread took over me. Something caught my eye. I looked up the ridge next to the river right beside our campsite. There was a 150 steep drop from the top, which dipped down into a small river/creek about 10 feet from our site. I noticed a mountain lion. It was staring at us and slowly started zigzagging down the steep ridge towards us. At times it would disappear behind brush or boulders. My daughter and I armed and bladed ourselves and tried to make noise to scare it off. It didn't work. The mountain lion kept making its descent. I knew it would have to take its life as it clearly sighted us and was coming. As it clearly sighted us in and was coming. This went on for 20 minutes. I realized that if it made it to the embankment, it could easily jump the river and be on us in seconds. I took aim. It started to scare us, and I directed my daughter to start calling the guys on the radio and let them know we were in danger, and I'll be shooting and not to come into camp by way of that ridge and embankment. No matter how much I tried to get a good aim for the shot, the mountain lion would just move enough to where I wouldn't be able to get a clear shot. I realized it was going to make it to the bottom, and as it would inevitably jump the river, was the moment I would have to kill it. It was my only option. The guys were just out of range enough to only get bits and pieces of her transmission and static. We were alone. I took aim and braced my daughter to my back with her 300, and she had my 6. I won't lie, I was terrified it would harm or kill my pregnant daughter. I said a silent prayer, crying out for someone to help. Then a loud booming sound came from the top of the ridge. Large, ominous, pounding footsteps. Bigger than any bull elk, louder than any bear, anything I'd ever heard in all my 41 years. Then the mountain lion stopped dead in its tracks and looked over its left shoulder up to the top of the ridge. This was it. I was about to take my shot, and I had the instant feeling come over me of peace and safety. My daughter asked, "Mom, can I turn your way? But what is that?" I whispered, "Honey, I don't know, but cover your ears and don't move." Then a loud, and I mean loud, booming, bellowing roar/scream sounded out from the top of the ridge. It echoed that whole mountain, it seemed. My daughter and I both shuddered at the sound. You could feel your whole body buzzing from the roar. I didn't dare take my 303 or sight off the mountain lion. If you recall, I said it was about 20 minutes for the mountain lion to zigzag its way down the steep ridge to the creek. When the roar/scream of this creature rang out, the mountain lion made a leap up the ridge and began slipping and scurrying up to the far right away from us and away from the roar. My daughter began frantically calling the guys on the radio, and I did fire off a shot towards the area so the guys would hear us, not aiming at the roaring creature nor the mountain lion, who was clearly running for its life. I cannot lie, and I say I saw Sabe. I can only say I knew what my husband meant when he said, "You'll never be able to describe or mimic the sound. I will never be the same. It does not leave you." Moments later, the guys came running into our sight and asked what all that was. My daughter and I lowered our weapons, speechless. Literally speechless. We heard the loud booming footstep retreat, backing away from the ridge above us. The guys heard it too, and no one dared go after it or try to find it. We simply accepted that something phenomenal had happened and we were safe. It took at least 1 hour for us to try to explain to the guys what happened. We stayed for 2 more days, and the guys stayed closer, but still went out hunting and scouting. My daughter was at the fire, and I was 10 feet from her in the river panning for gold. I heard a voice in my head tell me to get out of the river, and I was not safe there. I didn't question it. I moved my ass as quickly as possible back to my daughter, and we stayed at the fire back to back with our weapons until the guys returned. No one will ever convince us there wasn't a Sabe that saved us. No one could ever convince me that it didn't speak to me telepathically and warn me of the danger around. Needless to say, we packed up the next morning and we went home. We didn't share our story with anyone. We kept it between the 4 of us and haven't told anyone until now to you. I believe in my soul that Sabe saved me and my daughter and my then unborn and almost 3-year-old granddaughter. We did go back to that site and camp several times, and we have all felt at peace there, like a second home, protected and watched over by the guardians of the wilderness. I don't honestly think I want to see one. We all simply accept that they are there and among us. We respect them and their lands and continue to do so wherever we are. Like others that have written to you, I and my husband have been visited and caught glimpses of the Sabe in New Mexico, Colorado, and as we have moved back way out in the boons/country of my native state of Texas. We believe we are visited and protected more because of the experience as a family we had and him his whole life growing up in Michigan. I'll write you and so my husband of our other experiences with Sabe and other phenomenon later. For now, I would like to genuinely thank you for giving me a safe place to tell our story. Thank you for all you do and the knowledge and platform you give us to all open up. Blessings to you, Mel. P.S. You can use my name and keep the story as is. I no longer feel I need to hide it. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for doing what you're doing. Mel, thank you from the bottom of mine and everybody else's heart for taking your time to share with us. That's quite the story. It's funny, the sound. I don't think I've heard the roar. I haven't heard the bellowing roar yet myself. Like that blood curdling, physically vibrating your clothes and your ribcage scream. I haven't heard that, but I have heard some weird calls. Like I remember the very first time I heard one of these beings make a sound. It was a 3-toned howl, and there's absolutely no way I could even dream of mimicking it. There's just no way, which is unfortunate because all I can do is tell people about the sound, right? I mean, I can mimic, you name the game animal around, wolves, moose, elk, whatever. I can mimic basically all the known game animals here, but I can't mimic that sound. And it's funny, if you've been following this channel for a while, you're not the only person who's written in about being potentially saved from these things, especially from cougars. Remember we had that guy that said that one grabbed that big cat. What did he do? He broke its back and threw it or something. I think there's a few other instances of these beings potentially saving people. But I'd definitely be interested in hearing all the information and the knowledge you and your husband have for sure, especially if it helps people, all right? If it helps people, or even if it helps you to get it off your chest, then please, please, please do share it here, all right? And I'd be very, very, very appreciative of that. I'm glad you're all safe. And thanks again for sending that in. Thank you for the kind words, all right? We really appreciate it. Good afternoon, Steve. I was watching a few of your YouTube videos this morning and decided to reach out. I'm very leery about putting pen to paper and sharing our family's experience openly. At the time of our experience, we lived just outside Ottawa, Ontario at the time, which is why it makes this experience even more bizarre. Unfortunately, this experience has a profound impact on our autistic son, which even to this very day, it still brings up a great deal of anxiety and anxiousness for him many years after the encounter/experience. Sadly, the other people who also experienced this event, one was a veterinarian, were very adamant that they did not want to ever speak about it again with anyone. Steve, I was wondering if you would be open and willing to having a phone conversation with me. I promise I'll keep it short to the point. If you choose not to call, I completely understand, as I realize that you're extremely busy and have a great deal on your plate. Regardless, I think what you're doing on your channel is great. People need a place to share their experience with others without being judged or ridiculed. In closing, thank you in advance for taking the time to read my email, and I hope to have the opportunity to speak with you at some point in the near future. Cheers, and stay healthy. Peter. I wouldn't be lying saying I got a list of phone numbers the length of my leg. Holy. It'd be very tough right now. What I'm hoping to do is, there's a big shop/barn behind that camera, and it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of lumber, but I'm going to build something in there that is absolutely amazing. And then I'm going to be set up so I can speak directly to you and others as well, and have people over too. This is a bit of a work in the process. And currently we don't have any service here. There's no landline. The internet comes and goes sporadically. Maybe it'll show up for about 5 seconds every couple hours. So we're basically, what you see and what you hear behind me is what's going on here right now. Obviously I'm going to have a whole pile of emails coming after I read this one. And I'll pass this to you and everybody else listening. Don't let me forget. All right, so once you see that I am fired up and want to speak openly with the people through me, make sure you get in my face, get a hold of me, and make me aware you're still here then, okay? I guess I should probably be taking down numbers and names, but it's just so much time. It's so much time right now. But anyway, I would be interested, in the meantime, what I am very curious about is knowing why all of your friends, your family, whoever it is, why they do not want to speak about this, why they feel it may not be important enough to share with the public to get everybody up to speed. I'm really curious about that fact, right? I know, I understand the majority of the reason is because of ridicule, being ostracized in a way from groups of people, right? But at this point of the game, the amount of things going on this planet that have been kept from us, not only this topic, but much, much more, is absolutely sickening to me. It's a big motivator for me to keep going. I'm definitely going to branch into other topics without a doubt. I mean, let's face it, combined around 7 million views a month just on my channel alone. That's a lot of curious minds and voices of the people that deserve to hear as much as we can find out for them, right? And I'm going to go into a tiny little bit of babble here, you guys, and then I'm going to carry on to more stories. But, one thing I noticed was, when I start realizing just how many people are listening, then I realized just how many people we can get true, honest knowledge and important messages to. And then I look at some of the douchebags that have huge, massive audiences and basically have been controlling the narrative, controlling what gets shared with the people on a large scale. And that would be the late night television hosts. And I watch what they're doing. And as you ask questions of why, you go down various rabbit holes, right? You just keep going. Why this? Why that? Why that? After you see one of these things, you realize you're being lied to. And, I noticed that the main people in the front of the screens that have the biggest numbers, they're obviously controlled. Because I watched them, I've watched them, a few of them, and all they do with those massive followings is create and help maintain divide amongst us. That's all they do. Their time is dedicated to insulting, belittling. Their time is wasted. They are the most obnoxious wastes of skin that I can observe that have the most audience, that have the largest audience. And it really makes me angry, obviously, but I'm going to bring that up much later and get a little more detailed. I mean, as an example, one of these late night television hosts has an audience of 27 million people, and that's 27 million people that prick is not sharing true, honest knowledge with, that helps the people, makes the people more stronger. That prick amongst many, what they're doing with that audience is creating and maintaining divide. It's easy to see. It's plain, it's just easy to see. Anyways, this coffee's a little strong, obviously, but that's something that really, really concerns me in our society today. And as this gets more popular, we're going to start talking about some more unpopular topics that need to be spoken of to help us become stronger. The people, right? It's very, very important. Now, carrying on. Title still gives me goosebumps. Hello, Steve. I hope this email finds you well. I watch your channel for well over a year now, maybe 2. I live in Idaho near a well-known ski resort. I've hunted the mountains of Idaho for over 28 years now. I've taken moose, goat, pronghorn, numerous deer, and elk over the years. I only say this to preface that I've spent many years in the woods. A couple years ago, my buddy drew a mountain goat tag. We spent many weekends scouting one particular area. We saw goats every day up in that canyon, and many times deer, elk, and bear. We also stumbled across an occasional moose. Opening day finally came, and he decided to hunt with a bow. We did get close enough to a nice billy, but unfortunately never got a good shot. Fast forward 2 weeks. After several days hunting unsuccessfully and seeing a ton of game in the area, he finally harvested a pretty decent billy goat. On that day we were stalking the goat. I had my eyes on several nice mule deer bucks. I was laser focused on the deer while he obviously was focused on the goat. This was 2 weeks before deer opened. He got the billy. I didn't forget about those deer. I was so stoked to get back in there. Well, 2 weeks later found me at the trailhead about an hour and a half before light. It wasn't a huge hike, just fairly far. There's a ton of granite in this canyon and a lot of wildlife. Birds, squirrels, marten elk, deer, goats, etc. So every time I went into this area, there was one spot that spooked me for an unknown reason. This was the only spot in the trail that had fairly thick Douglas fir trees on both sides. Then you had to cross through a pretty thick patch of willows. This day I was just amped to get up to where I saw those bucks. Well, when I finally got to the spot where the Douglas fir was, is when it started to change. I entered the thick part of the trees and something growled at me. I've witnessed some strange things, but this growl went straight into my soul. I'm getting goosebumps thinking back on it. I immediately stopped and drew my sidearm. It was a Kimber chambered in .45 ACP with hollow point bullets. I also had a .300 Winchester Magnum in my pack. Somehow, I knew that either one of them weren't enough. I turned my headlamp off and just listened. The forest seemed to go silent. I convinced myself to go forward and nothing happened. I had to all day, didn't see even a squirrel. No goats, no deer, no elk, nothing. This was very strange, although I am glad to be here to tell about it. Now for the really crazy part. The next year there was a hiker that went missing in that same canyon. She has yet to be found. This experience for me has my second guessing going hunting by myself anymore. I love the outdoors, I especially love hunting, but this hits close to home. The missing hiker's name is Fern Baird. I emailed Dave Plattis about it, but like you, I'm sure his email is just crazy overloaded. Steve, I think that I was extremely lucky, and this cannot be a mere coincidence. As far as I know, no one knows where she is or how she disappeared. I don't know if it was not my time or I wasn't the right candidate, but this story needs to be heard. So as far as I know, there was nothing found of her, and this is of hers, and this is still an open case. I believe that these beings are simply getting me prepared to have an encounter. The last couple of years, I've had the sixth sense kicked into high gear several times. I really don't want to join the club, but I feel it's a matter of time. Thank you, Steve, for what you're doing. I truly think that it will help me cope with the inevitable sighting that I believe is coming my way. Keep up the good fight, bud, and you're welcome to my house. Welcome to use my name, Jim Chatterton, Idaho. Right on, Jim. Jim, thanks for that share, man. And it's funny that your opener of that experience took me straight back to mine. Because every time I hiked up top of that mountain, and I go through that dark pass where it dipped down, and there's a big fir tree near the side of me, and thick brush, and I'd just be shitting myself going through there every time. I couldn't figure out why, until finally that one time on the way back, that thing sitting on the rock looking at me, right? But one thing you can do that I think might be effective is if you don't want to become a member of the Club of No Return, you just say out loud. As soon as you get out of your vehicle, just say out loud, just leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with you. Leave me alone. I know you're here. You know why I'm here. I just want to go hunting. I just want to go grab my meat and go home safely. That's all I want to do. And I've toned it down my words. I would get a little more graphic and not so friendly and kind. For a while, I was saying some pretty nasty things out loud as I'm going through the dark and the timber. But and then I kind of changed my tone. I'm a little more polite now in a way, but it works. It's working for me. Although they do make it absolutely obvious they're around to me at least a few times a year. But sometimes, I used to say it for years, is I just know. I still have you just know it's eventually, I know that I am going to have a face-to-face again. It's just a matter of time. I don't think there's any way out of it myself, for me. And when that time comes, it'll come, and hopefully I'll be able to keep my shit together and it doesn't ruin it. That's my main fear for me, is having it ruined. I've spoken with so many people who've had it ruined. They don't even want to go near a tree, let alone go in the bush or even drive down a country road. It's ruined, and I don't want it ruined. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going and lapping up every single day I can with what I'm passionate about until I can't anymore. Like, that's what we all should be doing, right? Because if it gets ruined for me, I'm gonna be really angry and bitter about that. But anyway, we all got to keep talking about this shit, right? We all got to keep talking. So thanks for that share, man. Appreciate it. Be safe out there, but just try those words next time you go. And you might feel a difference, right? When your sixth sense kicks in, it might start kicking in a lot less. Possibly. Hello, Steve. Let me first say that we all appreciate everything you're doing for people deeply affected by having encountered these beings. I know it's really helping a lot of people. And my condolences to Mr. Macaroni. I know it's tough, brother. Anyway, you asked if anyone else has had an encounter with the see-through like saran wrap entity, like in the Predator movie. Well, yes, I have. Mine is a little different and odd. To give you a quick catch-up about me, let me first say that I'm not a researcher. That word just makes me cringe when I hear it. I consider myself a crazy enthusiast. I say crazy because not too many people enter the woods to go looking for these things, but I do. Some people get their kicks riding roller coasters. I get mine looking for monsters in the woods. I've had numerous encounters and a couple sightings. They're all relatively boring compared to most, so I'll stick to the story at hand. If you want me to email you about my Bigfoot encounters, I can do so later. Also, these all took place in Oklahoma. Of course they did. What doesn't take place in Oklahoma? Man, the stuff that goes on in that state. Now back to my story. So I was out in one of my areas with my girlfriend looking around. Yes, I am very lucky to have a girlfriend who will do this sort of thing with me. That's hard to find these days, but she likes it. Anyway, we were slowly inching our way through the forest. We go stealth sometimes because there's a lot of whitetail around here, and I like seeing how close we can get and seeing what big bucks they spook up. We were coming upon a ridgeline that overlooked a draw that dropped down below us, which helped us to see deep into the forest. As we get to the crest, something shiny catches my eye. What I see next still baffles me. If you were to hold up a huge sheet of see-through saran wrap like the size of a 10 by 10 tarp, that's exactly what I saw shimmering next to some pine trees, almost like it was hanging on clothesline and two clothes pins holding it at the top. I then noticed someone or something moving a bit around it. That's when this thing collapsed on itself and was gone. I watched this thing for about 30-45 seconds before it collapsed and went away. I was trying to get my girlfriend to look at it to confirm what I was seeing, but by the time I had her looking in the right spot, it was gone. We walked over to where I believe this took place, and I remember feeling a static feeling, like the environment was charged with energy. Never to see anything else. But this area is not far from where I had my close encounter with a reddish-colored Sasquatch. I was setting up a static camera when I turned around. One was looking at me through some trees. I watched it for about 4 or 5 seconds, and then I turned to get my partner's attention. And when I looked back, it completely disappeared, just vanished. Didn't even hear it move off. Anyway, I have more stories. I also do have a YouTube channel if anyone would like to see the areas I'm talking about. Just remember, guys, I'm not a researcher, I'm an enthusiast. Most researchers are lame, big-headed, and know everything. And they're doing it for the wrong reasons. When really every single researcher out there should have a pissed off mentality about being lied to our whole lives. Hallelujah. And starting helping people who have had encounters instead of trying to have their own. Anyway, keep doing what you're doing, brother. And if you ever want a side channel that has your back, but willing to help you read emails or whatever I can do to take some of the work off your back. Okay, man, hey, just so you know, no disrespect, I don't have a clue who you are, right? And I just don't promote Sasquatch channels. I'll check you out after this when I get the internet. But don't be insulted, all right? I don't promote Sasquatch-themed YouTube channels, okay? Not yet. Especially not without knowing firsthand first, okay? Anyway, that's my encounter with the saran wrap thing. It almost looked like a portal, and that thing went in it. I've never told anyone that. You are the first. Well, take care, Steve. Keep the videos coming, and if you need help, I got your back. Sincerely, Chris. Okay, man, thanks for that email. I absolutely appreciate it. And the portal thing, they're very, very real portals. There's a lot of people out there 10 times smarter than I am who have direct links and contacts with scientists who've been putting a pile of work and money and time and energy into these things, and other groups of people. And it's just something that's very, very real. And could possibly be quite maybe threatening or dangerous to human beings, right? The amount of people that are going missing, the amount of reports of people just having some very alarming experiences in the woods with disappearing, seeing something, some kind of apparition in front of them, and almost at times being lured to go into them, right? And who knows how many people don't come back from them. But hopefully we get to the bottom of all the truth soon when it comes to these crazy, strange items that are going on for real around us. Well, we get led to be about as smart as a pickle on average by the people who control the narratives. A little frustrating. Another one. My curse. Hey Steve, I'm a huge fan of your channel. Although I do not research Bigfoot because it's like researching whether my car is in the driveway or if my shoes are tied. I had a pretty traumatizing encounter / sighting when I was 15 years old in the Appalachian Mountains, way back in the middle of nowhere. I was buck fever type hunter. I walked and cover a lot of ground in areas that is not accessible by ATV or vehicle. In November of '97, I seen what I could only describe as a werewolf at the time. I took the typical ridicule from friends and family, so I kept to myself for the next 10 years or so. It was with me all the time, about an hour of any day hardly, where it didn't cross my mind once. I'm 38 years old now. Since around 2015, I ran across a video and eventually found out there was other people who have seen and encountered this creature. I know how crazy the name Dogman is, but trust me, it is fitting. But the real reason I'm sending you this email is I've since around 2017, 2018 started going out and actively researching these creatures in the Daniel Boone National Forest with one of the biggest researchers in the field. But I've also found a place here near my home outside Lexington, Kentucky, about 2 years west of the Daniel Boone. I've got the clearest images I personally have ever seen of these creatures. I've got very large track casts. Every picture I have, I've got the videos. Every picture I have, I've got the videos too. I want to thank you for telling these researchers like myself to stop walking in circles with the research they're doing. I was one of those people. As painful as it was to hear, I knew you were right. I switched up everything I was doing and managed to pay off. I got pictures I'm scared to share because they're so clear. And if I can figure out how to attach these pictures to this email, I will. Thank you for what you do. I believe everyone plays a big role, even if it's on different sides of the field. Hearing you being brutally honest gave me the kick in the pants I needed. And also I got growled at by one of these creatures about a week ago while I was filming. I'll also attach it to this email. I've been bluff charged and growled at. I hear that I'm crazy a lot, and maybe I am. I feel I'm just embracing this creature that lives in the back of my mind. I'm well trained in the outdoors. I'm trained well with firearms. I do not push on these creatures or try to provoke them. I've got probably one of the best research spots in the country here in Kentucky. Again, thanks, Steve. I wouldn't be offended if you didn't read this email. I know it's not really your typical big encounter with Bigfoot, but if I ever send you another email to you, just know I give you my word, there's upright walking canines in the national parks and forests around this country. Okay, man. And just so you all know, when I'm reading these emails on my phone, and typically I'll check my inbox on my phone, and I'll save the emails, put them in the folder for the month in my phone. And for the past few months, I just haven't. The internet connection is so poor, it's barely enough. It'll just start to download a photograph, and then it stops. It drives me insane. So what I've had to do in the past was crack open email, they attach pictures, video. Not a chance. It's not going to happen on this thing. And if I share their experience online in the video, what I have to do then is I got to get up from the editing computer, go get the laptop, fire up the laptop, crack open the email, do a search, find the email, download the attachment, save it to a memory stick, unplug that, take it over the editing computer, put it back in, load it, download it in the program. And it was potentially a big process. So for a lot of you people who are concerned, curious why I miss on so many photographs or video attachments, that's why. Okay, and furthermore, usually when I'm out here, it's the first time I've read that email, and then I carry on and read 7, 8, 9 more emails, and then I completely forget that there is supposed to be a photograph attached. That's going to change soon, because as soon as I get that shop done, we're going to have high-speed internet here, and all is going to be done in one package. But anyway, thanks for that share, man. And if I can, as soon as I get the internet connection again, I'll go back and I'll try to find that. And if there's something there, and that's another thing too. A lot of people share here. Thousands of people share here, and I appreciate the fact there's a lot of people out there who are curious of these beings. You want to go look into them. You want to go into the woods and look for them, look for signs of them. Amen. That's fine. Whatever floats your boat, right? And as far as sharing here with me, for the people, through me to the people, what I'm after at this stage of the game is I want to either help you get something off your chest in a safe place that'll help you, or at the same time as well, I want anybody out there who has any information that can help the people, share it. That's what I'm after. We're after helping the people. We need all the people to be respected, safe. That'll be my first helicopter. Really? I thought my helicopter days were over. Huh. Right over the house. I hate background sound. Hate it. And no, they're not following me. All right? But anyway, yeah, let's end on that note. We need the people, the powers. We need the power to come back to the people. All right? It all begins with knowledge. Good solid knowledge sharing. And honesty. No secrets. No being misled. No wasting time. Speaking of wasting time, not that I feel I've wasted any time, but I got to get my button gear. I don't even know what time it is now. What is it? 6:20 a.m. Got a full day ahead, and I got to make plans of when. I still got to get some more stuff out of the horse trailer so I can leave here 7 hours to get back home and get those horses here. And this is where they're going, right behind me. Well, they'll be running around everywhere, but they'll be right behind me first and keep going on this place, this project. It's beautiful land, beautiful home, but a shit pile of work, I'll tell you what. And we got a bunch of little baby peep chickens over there that need the chicken coop redone for them so we can put them in there to be safe. There's lots to do. I got to go do some guiding here pretty quick. Anyway, keep them coming in, you guys, and I'm going to keep sharing them. All right? Be safe out there.